Hello and welcome. You are watching Gravitas Plus. I am Molly Gambhir. Over the last few days, a Chinese app has been at the center of a lot of chatter. Are you dead? The name of the app naturally garnered a lot of attention. It is basically targeted at people living alone. The name of the app in Chinese translates to "Are you dead?" in English, and it has been described as a lightweight safety tool created for solo dwellers. It basically requires you to regularly check in to prove you are okay. And with the kind of attention it received, given the number of people living on their own and the surging downloads of the app, the company reportedly has had to introduce a subscription fee and change its name for a global audience. Just to break this down for you, the app requires setting up one emergency contact and sends automatic notifications if the user has not checked in via the app for consecutive days. In other words, the viral app, which has been making headlines, seeks to check on you to confirm that you are alive, requiring you to regularly check in to prove that you are all right. And it has soared in popularity given the number of people living on their own, and the company will reportedly launch the global brand name Demomo in its new version to be released soon. This app and the kind of popularity it received reignited conversations around loneliness. How often do you feel lonely? And if and when you do, how do you tackle it? Loneliness, one word, carrying immeasurable weight. It has become a grave public health concern, in fact, given just how widely and intensely it has made its presence felt. Loneliness and isolation are the hidden threats to global health we can no longer afford to ignore. In the year 2023, the World Health Organization officially declared loneliness as a global health threat, an invisible threat that has been engulfing the world. You see, when our lives revolve around digital devices, loneliness tends to become a byproduct. While technology is not the only reason why loneliness exists, of course, it's definitely a key reason. And you know what the byproduct of loneliness is? What does it do to your body and mind? How dangerous is it? It can increase the risk of disease, for example. It can also shorten your life. According to this WHO report from July 2025, between 2014 and 2019, loneliness was associated with more than 871,000 deaths annually. You see, no matter what anyone says, we human beings are hardwired for connection. Connections and relationships shape our emotions. They have a huge impact on our chances of living a healthy life. So naturally, disconnection, whether through loneliness or social isolation, can have a huge impact. It increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, depression, anxiety, dementia, and premature death. According to the WHO report, there are ways to tackle this. There are solutions, basically interventions that work, from national policies and community programs to campaigns and even individual support strategies. In fact, it notes some successful examples, like peer-to-peer support for low-income older people in South Africa, social prescribing of activities to older adults in the Republic of Korea, like music, gardening, self-help groups establishing dedicated national strategies in countries like Denmark, Germany, Japan, Finland, the Netherlands, Sweden. The COVID-19 pandemic was a period when the world realized more so the importance of connection. As lockdowns forced isolation, the human need for connection became unmistakable, and so did the costs of its absence. And while tackling loneliness is one thing, what happens when loneliness becomes a business model? What happens when loneliness becomes profitable? Well, in case you have not noticed, it's already happening all around you. And there are several ways in which companies are, in a way, profiting from loneliness, capitalizing on your loneliness and isolation. And the irony is that if technology is the reason why you feel lonely, it's also becoming a part of the solution. But can technology really tackle loneliness is the question. Did you know there is something called loneliness economy? Basically, products and services aiming to capitalize on your loneliness. In a world where real relationships are hard to find, brands have stepped in to fill that void. Like AI friends offering 24/7 companionship. Or, for example, services that rent out friends or meal companions. Or even co-living and co-working spaces. But what they are trying to sell is, in simple words, simulation of connection. Companies are even using words like community in their marketing and messaging, promising a sense of belonging and togetherness. Is this just about tapping into vulnerabilities? And what makes those who are lonely lucrative targets? For starters, lonely people spend a lot of time online, for example. The internet becomes a companion in many ways. But what if you rely on technology for companionship? Enter AI companions, chatbots, in other words, artificial companionship. But how useful are artificial connections? Can artificial companionship be a real solution? And to what extent do artificial connections like these help? Perhaps in our own way, we can puncture loneliness at some level by being there for each other, by reaching out to others, maybe even asking for help when we need it, or checking in with people. You never know who needs it. And if you are lonely, do not be afraid to ask for help. Let's normalize talking about loneliness. There is a need to prioritize social connection after all, because make no mistake, our ability to form and maintain meaningful human connections is just as important for our well-being as physical and mental health. But then, to what extent do we realize that is the question.